welcome to Indonesia Highlights, and our guest today in the show is an inspiring young lady who has contributed in many aspects in society, just to name a few, in media, but for the most part in advocating for human rights. Let's talk to our guest today. It's Sarah Jojo Hadikusumo. Good day, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. A little bit worse for wear, but happy to be here.
Oh, great to have you here in the show. So, Sarah, let's talk about your passion in anti-human trafficking. When did you discover yourself that you want to advocate for this particular issue?
Well, it started in 2009 when I attended a conference in London, England, and that was when I learned that basically girls my age or even younger, especially the ones younger, would well, they are trapped in slavery as slaves, modern day slavery, and they would have to serve up to 60 men a day, and that's something that is absolutely shocking, that there are more slaves today than there have ever been in history. And I found my calling then, and I thought that that shouldn't exist at all in the world today, especially when we're alive.
Right, so in terms of Indonesia itself, what have you discovered about human trafficking?
Well, that's what's really interesting. I came home from that conference in 2009, and I thought maybe I would find some kind of foundation or NGO or anything that had anything to do with anti-human trafficking work. But it was very difficult to find any at that time that was on a national level. So I did my research, and especially, it helped that my family is very much involved in social work, especially my mother. She has her own foundation, and what I've discovered is that it's really shocking, a lot of what we think is acceptable in our culture. And a lot of people use religion as an excuse, for example. Like outside of Jakarta, there's one village well known as a village that sells their girls for contractual marriages, you know, kawin kontrak we call them. And girls as young as 15 years old would have already been divorced 5 times. I mean, and that's absolutely indescribable how it really should not exist here in Indonesia, and yet it does, and we put it all under the rug, so to speak.
So knowing that truth that's happening in Indonesia, what have you done to contribute to fight against human trafficking?
Well, I founded my foundation along with my friends called Parinama Asta, and we have a movement aimed at the youth to raise awareness among the students, because obviously it's the youth, the 13, 15, 17-year-olds that are the most vulnerable. And it's called Indonesia for Freedom movement. We hope that everybody, it doesn't matter whether you're Indonesian or even someone from abroad, but if you're actually interested in making sure that there is no modern day slavery in Indonesia, we invite you. And that's just the prevention work. But at the moment, we're very much focused on getting a safe house in place, because there really is just 2. There are only 2 safe houses in Indonesia for the cases that are in the thousands. And so we hope to have a safe house for reintegration, and at the moment we've also done 2 public discussions in Parliament to actually make sure that the implementation is real, because we do have the law in place. A lot of people don't know that we have the anti-human trafficking law in place. However, it's just the implementation that even the police in the provincial level, they might know what they're doing, they might know what human trafficking is, but in the lower districts, in the Regency and the sub-districts, they don't understand what human trafficking is or even how to pursue cases of human trafficking. And so we hope that we can fight for this in the Parliament. So we have an executive manual. It's called an executive manual, which we don't have yet, even though the law has been in place since 2007.
Right. So there's a lot of work to do.
Still a lot of work, even though we've been around for a few years, but still a lot of work.
But why anti-human trafficking? Why are you so passionate about that?
I think anyone who would have heard the stories of the survivors, and I know some of them, and to have met 13-year-old girls who were trafficked by their own parents, I mean, that if that doesn't change you, if that doesn't shake your core, I don't know if you're human, really. And so it really wasn't me who chose what became my calling, and I call it my calling because it's the one that chose me. That cause called me to fight for it.
Okay, great. Well, let's talk about I know that you are currently aiming for a seat in the parliament. We just want to know what, driving you towards that. But we'll come back and talk more on that on Indonesia Highlights.